Hello, my name's Barbara Gray from Clarity Stamps in the UK, and today I thought it would be great to get out the Gelli plate again. And I want to show you a little trick that I've figured out with stencils. So without further ado, I'm going to use the small Gelli plate. Let's get it out of the packet. If you don't know what a Gelli plate is, if you're new to this, it's just a really cool little printing transfer plate, and it works very, very well. I'll show you what I'm going to do. It works with ink, it works with paint. Today I'm going to use acrylic paint. Now the first thing I want to do, one, so that you can see what I'm doing, and two, so that I can line up my artwork like so. When I'm pulling the print, I've put the Gelli plate on a piece of white card. Gelli plate 6x6, the card is 7x7, so it gives me a really nice edge, which is ideal when I'm pulling a print because it looks like a proper art print, which is what we're trying to achieve here. Now I'm going to use two stencils. One is the Leafy Swirl, which is very, very beautiful, and one is this one, much loved. I love this one. It's our Dotty wave, and I'm going to use that for blotting actually. So I want to show you what I'm going to do. First of all, I also want to show you how to mix two paints directly onto the Gelli plate. On the Gelli plate, I want to use blue and brown. These are fast drying paints, and I'm going to put a little bit here and a little bit here, blend them together, and then pull a print. And then we'll have a look and then see if we can improve on that. So this is what we want to do. Take a little bit of it. Do you know what? I've got to put my glasses on. Oh, that's better. Right, we're going to take a little bit of the blue, phthalo blue, and then a little bit of the burnt umber, like so. Right, at either end. And then what I'm going to do is just spread the blue across like so until I hit the brown. And then I'll move this way, look, and I'm lifting the brayer. I think that's the key. Lift, lift, lift. I'll take a bit of copy paper, and you can see the colours coming through nicely now. Right, okay, I reckon this will be lovely. So then what I'm going to do now, see, I've blended the colours. I'm going to take my stencil and I shall just pop it down, and it's the same size as the card as well, so it sits nicely. Then I'll take the other one. There is a system here, you see. Lay that down. Then I'll take some copy paper, and I'm just going to put the whole thing down like so. Right. And then just blot through, applying a bit of pressure through the back, like that. And we'll lift this off, lift this one off, lift this one off, and then I'll pull a print. So I'll take my card, I'm going to stand up so I line it up exactly, and I shall pull a print. And then you'll see, at its very simplest, this is how it works. So we'll just pull a print like so. Right, and then there's our print. So we have a really nice picture, you see? Isn't that cool? And on here, I've still got half of the paint still sitting there. So what we want to do now is wait just a couple of minutes, and then we can use this. See, this is the thing, this happens, and half of the print stays on the Gelli plate. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. And when it does, the trick is just to walk away for 5 minutes and let that dry. So let's just wait 5 minutes and let that dry. So this will be dry now after about 5 minutes. So let's clean the Gelli plate, and then I want to show you a trick. I'll take my faithful buff titanium, just because I can, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that to my picture. See, sometimes what I call the ghost print is even nicer than the original. So let's have a look. I'm just going to spread my buff titanium over the top, like so. And what happens is it releases the colour that's already on the plate. And then I'm going to take some more card and line it up, and I'm going to pull another print there. So we'll just do this, and I'm getting 2 for the price of 1 whilst cleaning my jelly plate. Okay, and this is, for example, one strategy. So when I lift this off, you see, I've got this fantastic background there with what was left on the jelly plate with some buff titanium, and I've got my original print too. Pretty cool, isn't it? Now let's take these 2 stencils again and let's tackle the same thing again. And this time, let's try something different. We'll go back to plan A, because you know now how to clean your jelly plate. Let's go back to plan A, and before we begin, let's take our stencil and let's add a little bit of talcum powder to the stencil, just like this. So I'm just going to, sometimes when you use a stencil, you want the stencil to come out white. Don't watch. Right, you want the stencil image to come out white, don't you? So what we're going to do, oh, it smells lovely though, I have to say. Right, we're going to cover our stencil in some talcum powder. Okay, because, let me show you why. You see how I was quite lucky. The leaves on this one, they came out quite white. Sometimes that doesn't happen, but if you put talc on it, it should work much better. It seems that the talcum powder lifts the paint. I'll show you what I mean. So let's go back to our where we started. So we've got some of that lovely dark blue again, and we're going to mix the 2 again. Don't put them near each other, put them away from one another, like so. And then, once again, I'm going to take our brayer. We don't have to clean the brayer. We're going to lift up. Let me just stand up for this. And I'm going to spread my blue. Isn't that beautiful? Phthalo blue. Absolutely stunning. And then I'm going to hit the brown. There we go. And then I'm going to go up and down and up and down. And what will happen is, as I'm doing this, suddenly there's a colour in the middle that we didn't have before, like a kind of a really nice green, I reckon. Right, that'll do. Okay, see the colour here? Nice, very arty. So what I'm going to do now is take my stencil, the talky side down, and then I'll take my other one, just like we did before, except the only thing we've added here is a bit of talcum powder. And then I'm going to press that through like so. Okay, good. Apply some pressure so we get the pattern going through, like that. Then we'll lift those 2 off. We'll lift that one off. Now let's see if the talcum powder helped. Well, you can't win them all. But let's just check what we're doing here, because I still want to persevere, and I want to just take my aperture. I want an aperture there. So I'm going to put down a block, a card block. Those little cards, they actually come with these card packs, which is pretty cool. So then I'm going to pull my print again. But what I'm doing is I'm creating an aperture in the centre. So we should have a hole in the middle, shouldn't we? Right, let's see what this looks like. Everything's okay. That's pretty, isn't it? Yes, and you can see now what I was talking about. See how white the leaves are there. Let's check out the centerpiece. That's quite nice too. All right. So you see how the talc, it soaks up. If you're doing the trick and your stencil isn't leaving white as you'd like it, just remember, if you cover it in talc and then put the talky side down, that will help a lot. Now, I can tell you for nothing that this when it's dry will be absolutely spectacular. So we know, don't we, the way to lift that off. A little bit of buff titanium, let it soak in, pull it off. Another beautiful ghost print. So we'll put that to one side because that one's for later on. And now let's take a look at this one. I like this a lot. And I just wanted to show you another way to deal with the stencil and this. So if I, for example, I take this piece here. Right, now I've got a couple of stamps and I need my stencil. My stencil is dry. Okay, so I'm going to lift this one away and I'm going to put my stencil, of course, sits exactly like that, doesn't it? So I'm going to use that And what I want to do now is use a couple of my favourite stamps. These are really nice clarity characters. I drew them myself. And I want to use the little lady. Here we are. And I'm going to stamp her up or ink her up in a colour called Coffee, because I found that the coffee colour, Archival, works really nicely together with that brown that I was using, the brown paint. So we're going to ink her up, and let's just add her first of all. So we've got our image in the background, and I just want to add her here. There we go. So we'll just stamp her into the aperture, like so. See how she blends so beautifully with that colour. And then I want to take a Maya Angelou verse. She's my Shiro. I was so sad when I heard that she'd passed on. But, you know, she lives on in many, many, many of us, doesn't she? And this is one of my favourite sayings of hers. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. Isn't that lovely? Right, so we're going to stamp that into the aperture too. So we've got that beautiful verse, and we've got the young girl. And then what we want to do now is take our stencil, like so, and I'm going to attach it with some low-tack masking tape. And I think what I want to do... Oh, I need a bit more than that, Barbara. Right, let's have a go. I want to attach it so that it sits exactly over the top of the stencil where it was before. So let me just cover up the sides like this. Just a moment. Right. So you see, you've got to make sure that it's sitting in the right place. Have I got it in the right place-ish? I'm going to get a shadow. Do you know, that might be clever too, but today I don't want to do a shadow. Right, let me just get it in the right place. Okay. Here we are. And I'm taking the masking tape up as far as the actual artwork where the paint stops. So that, because in a minute I'm going over this with a brush, with a stencil brush. So I don't want to really spoil the edges, just in case I get carried away with the stencil brush, you see. So I'm going to cover these sides up now. There we go. So we've got all four sides, I think, ready to go. That'll do. I shouldn't really go that far over, really. I'm supposed to be concentrating on the centrepiece. All right. So now what I want to do is take my brush, and I'm going to use Stormy Sky. It's a distress ink, really nice colour. And I think I'll use a clean piece of copy paper. Right. And we just want to load a little bit of the distress ink into the centre. And we're going to run the stencil through, see? So let's get the colour going. And then this is quite a fine stencil, so it's a good idea just to hold it a little bit, just to help it so that it doesn't fly away. You see? Just hold the bits in place. And let's just add a little bit of that colour. There we go, just hold the leaf in place. There we are. Okay. Nice. See, and you can see immediately what's happening here. I'm just getting that feel of the stencil coming through off the sides. So we'll just add a little bit more around the sides as well. It's just breaking that edge, isn't it? Right. Make the artwork come to you, and then just gently just add a little bit of shadow in off the edge. There we go. Round we go. And like I say, these are quite delicate stencils. This one in particular is probably the finest stencil we have. So you just want to hold it on, hold it in place like that, so that when you dust the aperture through, it will work really well. You just want a little bit of it. Okay, let me just check that it worked. Oh yeah, that's what I'm after, you see? So you've got your stencil coming through like that, do you see? And then what I want to do is take a makeup sponge, because the makeup sponge helps me now get the shadow in place. So I can come in now with the makeup sponge and, for example, this colour, I'm using the Stormy Sky just to come in off the edge a bit. It just distresses it a little bit more. There we go. So you don't lose the stencil marks that you just made, but you just add a little bit more depth. Nice. Now you can use other colours as well, but you'll see immediately what the game is here. Because I'm using a dye-based ink, you see how it stains the white leaves? Let me take Willow, a different colour, and let me add immediately, you watch the difference when I start to add a green, how it transforms these colours in the background. And it makes it look incredibly three-dimensional. You see how the dye-based ink, what it does is it stains where we made the leaves white with our talcum powder trick. It stains everywhere where there's some white card left. So you can get the most dramatic effects. Look, and just by pulling through with a little bit of makeup sponge. I find this absolutely astounding how effective and how cool this looks. So we haven't lost the stencil in the centre. Isn't that lovely? There we go. Just add a little bit down the bottom. Cool. Happy with that? Happy with that. Right, there we are, you see. So we've used the Willow to really give that stenciled acrylic background with the Gelli plate some depth. So there we are. I hope you like that. This is just about using a pair of stencils together and then using dye-based inks to really add that depth. And don't forget the talcum powder trick. I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to seeing you next week. All the best. Bye-bye now.